I like how there's a guy cast for Dracula. He's like all the way up at the top.
With those bangs, Dracula bangs.
Dude, he looks like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, he does.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Last voyage of the Demeter.
Demeter. Well, no, it's Russian, you fool.
Demeter.
There you go.
That was like Japanese.
What's he say? Do sladanya. That means goodbye.
Okay, it is a chapter in the novel Dracula, right? A single chapter in the
it's like
novel.
an insert.
Right.
They have like different inserts, I think.
So they
the captain's log.
and there wasn't too much in it
August
except for describing
7th.
the captain's log, right? So they had a lot of things to play and expand upon in here. So go ahead, take it away with the good stuff, because my good stuff was him. The shots in the beginning of him lingering in the shadows, seeing a pale fucking slender dude where you can see the silhouette, and that's about it.
Him sticking to the shadows.
Yeah, whispering and crawling around. When you do see him, it's like a gangly golem looking thing, and it was really spooky.
That was one
really
thing.
well.
That was one thing I really liked about it. Yeah, it was he was very stalkerish. He also was very much like always on the prowl, but like when obviously they like it's like a leprechaun. You look away, he's gone. You know?
And there's more of like
He's supposed to be weak at the beginning. That's
yeah,
why
he's
going,
weak. Yeah, he's super weak because he hasn't been feeding, and because obviously, oddly enough, the girl was there. But one thing I did like was his look. His look was really good. Like, I think I was telling him this earlier. Like, I liked the way he looked. He looked very much like
talked.
Nosferatu. Like
Right.
Orloff, like
he had
that
that
kind
middle
of look.
fang in the
That,
middle.
like
yeah.
the sharp teeth, the pointy ears, the pale
Right.
complexion, just like the slender linkiness to him.
Right, and his
Awesome.
whispers and his
Yeah.
mocking, he was more of psychological horror too, or torturer too. Like he's fucked up, and I don't know if he's playing with them. I don't know his fucking abilities, but he gets able like to get in their head. Obviously, it's more loyal to the book, the original book. Like you were saying, there's a lot of lore in it. That was correct. Like him turning into mist and whatnot.
Yeah, being able to control the mist, the fog,
Right.
the night creatures.
He's
like
got
the bats,
powers, right.
Yeah. So
It's-
he's able to do things.
He's not an animal. He is like
Yeah.
it does get into like
And it helps him having those crates of earth help him do that. Which
right.
Is,
So
which
the
is,
lore, right?
Which is
him
another
cracking
good
it
little
open.
touch. Like it's another good touch of like
Right.
What's
from
with the
book.
dirt? Why? Like, what's so special about it?
So the dirt is actually from his homeland in Transylvania, and for him to have like power, he has to have his homeland to like rest in.
Another thing I liked that was creepy that they kind of capitalized on, but they didn't really, was the knocking and stuff. Which was creepy because he did it once to lure them in, and he only grabbed one anyway. No, he grabbed both.
There's
But
like
it
two
was-
separate times. Yeah.
Right, he goes, I didn't knock, and then...
My
they do this-
knock.
Right, some of the hunting down scenes, some of them were really quick. Like when he was, the very first one, where it was creepy, where you see him like crawling because he's weak or whatever, then he launches at him and he guts him in the neck, or then he creepily crawls on him. That I really loved. I wish it was a
that
little
was
bit more
good.
gruesome.
That was good.
I think it needed to be rated R. I'm not 100% sure if it was.
It was.
It was rated
It
R?
was, but it
so
was-
they needed to go a little bit further with
They
it.
probably need to go a little further with the gore.
Right.
But like with him just feasting on necks, and that's kind of all he's doing. I mean,
Right.
There isn't much room to be like super gory.
I wish, like I told you on our way here, was that he would... Because it was more monster turning into more man instead of man being more, animalistic that I'm used to. Is like the Dracula, he looks good, fancy or whatever, that he can like be a monster. And here he starts as a monster, turning... I wish that we'd have seen him transition
Becoming
more...
kind of more human.
Right, because when you see it intelligence along with it being a monster like that, it's even more scary.
And in the book and in the lore, he's very much like he shapeshifts quite a bit. Like he shapeshifts into like a bat creature, a wolf-like creature.
What?
Yeah, and even in some of the movies, he kind of does the same thing. Like he's able to turn into like these dark
Different
beings and
animals.
other things. Yeah, and it,
Cool.
like the rats and stuff. Like it's really, really wild.
So, is there anything else that I didn't mention about what really...
I mean, it looked good. It felt good.
The
like,
setting
it
was
felt,
awesome.
Right, the setting was cool.
The time
It's
period
tight.
was nice.
It's
I
dark.
love the ship.
It's creepy.
Yes.
It's rocking.
Right. Even
Most of the characters were pretty cool.
right. Even when the sun was up, there was plenty like dark places that they could have also capitalized of like. Well, I guess he'd be sleeping in that time. But,
But I mean,
right.
even during the daylight hours, he'd like at that point he'd still maybe have enough juice to like probably defend himself. I don't know how far or how well, but
Right.
even still, they could have done
Probably
a
should
lot of
have
other
had that
things.
scene.
Problems I had with this was a lot of the characters, mainly. There was no planning. There was no strategy. Once they just kind of, when the sun came up, they just kind of went, let's just wait till dark and then more keep dying. He finds out where he sleeps. Nothing comes of it. there's a lot of stuff that I feel like they could have used. Anna, she gave them information too late about the damn he's connected to me. They could have used that, but instead it turned against them.
But she also did come out right out the gate.
He's
and was
here,
like,
he's coming.
He's here, he's coming. We're all gonna die.
And then no one pays her
shut
any
her
mind.
up.
And then it starts happening. Things start noticing. People start bursting into flames for no reason, and they're still like, nah. And then like we're gonna search it head to toe. Like no one checked the crates. No one like if I was a captain, someone was running around like everywhere, every box where I think someone can hide, checking it. But then they didn't fuck with it.
It's weird they didn't touch the cargo, even though the cargo would have been like the first thing I would have done.
Right.
I thought we were gonna get some interesting shit in the log. They're
His
gonna
clothes,
dig in deep
his
on
stuff,
who it came from, where it came from,
His
where it's
journals or
going, and
something.
who signed.
Well, I was surprised because, like, I think he does still end up going by Dracula. Like, he does have that pen name, so, like, he's using it even when he's bringing in the real estate people to, like, get the Carfax Abbey property in London. So it's like, they still could have traced it back to him easy. Like, it would have been like Count Dracula.
Some characters in here were I was liking, and I was like, oh, his arc is gonna be I'm gonna invent. Was it his son or grandson?
It was his grandson. It was his daughter's son.
So the captain's grandson, Toby, Captain is like he's like on the higher moral ground with a lot of stuff, and his second mate's kind of a prick because it's his last voyage or whatever. So it's like, oh, he's gonna go down with his ship because that thing killed his grandson, and now it's personal. Now he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill this thing, and then it goes nowhere.
He has these weird moments. His character,
right?
He has the weird moment where he pulls the gun on the doctor, and then he has like that weird moment where he's just like, I'm gonna tie myself to the mast, what? Or to the wheel, and it's like, why?
And then he noticed the doctor Clemens finds the mark on his neck or whatever, and I'm gonna untie you. Then he dies. I'm like, wait a minute, we just went through this like 4 times already.
Like
he could be, he's gonna
turn
turn against you or something. And then he just dies. I'm like, well, Toby died, right? And then Toby came back. So there's a lot of things that they're just forgetting what they're establishing, and then it bites them in the ass later. I mean, the captain didn't do anything, so luckily they were good on that one.
First off, after the first body decided to spontaneously combust in front of like half the crew that was like still alive. Nobody was just like, okay, if this thing bites anybody, we should gotta either keep him out of sunlight or throw him in the sunlight.
And then Toby immediately gets bit, and they put a blanket on him, and he dies.
I swore he just moved.
But then they didn't even really show that. It was like wind blowing. He goes, no, it's like, okay, so where are we going with
creepy
this?
as shit.
Well, did he actually move?
I don't think
they show us that he moves. It's just supposed to see him going crazy.
Yeah, but then he goes, it's real,
Yeah, it wasn't until he opened up and you see like the like necro looking kid, and then you're like, oh, the kid's like a vampire.
But also Anna, when she gets revived because she was getting bit 17 times, but yet she didn't turn.
She slowly turned because of the transfusion.
The dirt, I thought, was what she was saying, that when she bit him or he bit her, the dirt fell into the wound, filled her back up with blood, and so on and so forth. And I guess that kept her from turning into a dirty zombie. And then he did the transfusion, and then it worked. But then she goes, "I've known for a few days that it was only prolonged or whatever." I was like, I feel like we just keep changing shit.
Between that and also being like, I can feel him and he can feel me, and we're like telepathically.
Right when they're about to spring the trap.
It's
when they're about to spring.
It's like, okay,
he knows the trap.
I'm sure he feels it. I'm sure he knows, whatever the case may be. And that was just kind of a given because she kind of let it loose right there. For what I was to understand in like any kind of vampire lore, if like he has like a vampire underling, he can pretty much use them like a security camera. Like he can see through their eyes, he can use their body.
And the guy did, Olgren, who was tied up.
He
goes, I
did to that one dude he bit.
Hear your blood, blah blah blah, smell this, blah that. And he goes, it's hot. That was creepy. I wish they would have done a little bit more with that too.
Yeah.
Get more out of him. Talk to Dracula.
That's what I'm saying. Him talking more like a human would be spooky, and I feel like they could have done that.
But yeah, his whole like vampiric form was awesome. I like that we didn't see like, oh my god, Dracula, like in a suit or some cape or some crap. That was awesome. Like,
brothers at odds.
It was good to see him strictly as a monster.
So his look was great. To me personally, when I hear him scream at the end, I was like, he just kind of seems like a harpy. Like I wish it was like a deeper kind of growl instead of like.
It's weird because like when you first see him like flying around and stuff, it's almost like he has wings separate from his arms and bodies. But then when at the very end, like you said, he's very like harpy like and more bat like. Right. Like his wings are attached to his legs and to his
hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really like that look.
Right.
But if it was to be more separate, totally fine with it. Totally awesome with it. But yeah,
I feel like there was a lot of foreshadowing for a showdown at the end. Like we had the captain, we had the Dr. Clemens, who's like, "I'm gonna kill this freaking thing."
Yeah.
And none of it happens. She goes, "Take this, devil," and she pulls a string, and then something just smacks it or whatever. And he of course he hits it, and it gets shot once. But I was expecting it to take more damage and taken out, be more of a fight. And it wasn't. And
it was very anticlimactic.
I wanted to see the captain like sacrifice himself on a cool way to really hurt the thing. Didn't get that.
Captain could have used that pistol.
Yeah. Right. He went, "Damn you, dead." I'm like, fuck.
He's like, "I ran out you, David."
Right.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
He could have wrapped the crucifix around the gun that he had pointed at the dude earlier and be like, "All right, you ready for it?" And be like, shoot him. Probably be ineffective. Done something cool, but he's just like, "I'm gonna tie myself."
Well, what if he tied himself to the mast and somehow he gets himself latched onto him so Dracula can't get away, and he has some sort of something to blow him or set him on fire, something.
Like, I got him.
So where it can't get off him.
Because I think they talk about some of their cargo. I think they say kerosene. They got barrels of kerosene. See, so they could have set that ship ablaze and would have been fine too.
Yeah, I feel like there was someone writing like, "Oh, we're gonna use this, we're gonna use that," and then towards the climax, we're like, "Let's rewrite some of these things."
Budgetary reasons, studio reasons.
Maybe, yeah. Like it could have just set him on fire. I'm not talking about an explosion here. I'm not talking about like Michael Bay level.
No, but
dynamite.
super dunk the freaking captain in the kerosene and have him be like, bring it and like drop a flare or a torch on himself. Yeah, and then like take on the creature. That'd be awesome.
Like when Clemens is like, "I'm not scared of you," it would have been cool if he was all like burnt up or scratched up. He was bleeding. Where he goes, "You will," and he gets like more human, like I said before, or whatever. So like he did take some damage on the way there. Obviously, it's probably not in the book, and they want to stay loyal. But I feel like there's a lot of prolonged scenes in here that we just didn't need. One of them was Toby stuck in the room. I was like, wait a minute. So Toby leaves the room because he hears something, and then he goes back to the room, and then the thing tries to get in like 3 times, and then it gives up, and then, oh shit, Dracula's already in there. And then he dies while they're trying to get in when the door is halfway busted open already. Toby dies right before they get there.
It still didn't make any sense. So there is the door handle. There is the bar that is the lock that Toby has locked that nobody can reach and nobody can undo. And then there's the hole that the dude put in with his head, and they're trying to reach in to get this stuff. Nobody can do this shit. Then she somehow shoots.
Yeah.
She shoots the door handle.
Right, the door handle.
Not even the bar. And the door swings right on open, no problem. They find Toby's lifeless body chilling in the corner. Like,
yeah. It's like
after they look in and they see Dracula like fucking about.
It reminds me of it where like this monster is slowly torturing people and getting what it needs, and it's winning, and then people start losing things. I'm getting mad. My anger is overriding the fear, because if they all just went at him, he would have won, but he would have took some fucking damage.
They would have had a better shot than like whimpering and like trying to figure things out.
That's why I was rooting for the captain when she gave that epic speech about don't let it taint your grandson's memory or whatever. He's like, it's fucking on. Dead. He died.
He was spoiled.
Right.
A lot of them were spoiled.
So I was loving the creepiness of it. It was a perfect setting. You're stuck on a ship in the middle of the ocean.
You're isolated. You have different things. You have motion. You have sound. You have storms.
Your livestock's gone. Like you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're in a
like
world
there's
of
tons
hurt.
of things that you could like really touched on.
Right.
And would have been awesome.
Right.
But it's like the subtle things that worked really well for it, but everything else they really try to like make like big. Didn't go anywhere.
So what would you guys give it? What is your general takeaway for this movie?
I liked it.
Okay.
It's one of those movies I want to watch during October. I think it's a decent...
not a bad spooky season movie.
Yeah, it seems like a dark, rainy night kind of movie.
Yeah.
That I haven't had in a long time, at least new ones.
It does what it's supposed to do. It brings good gothic horror to the screen.
And the setting is just going to win me over regardless. Yeah. And it wasn't bad to the point where I just count all the other unsatisfying arc endings in general, but it didn't go as far as like I give it a solid B, honestly. I'm gonna buy this movie when it comes out. I like it.
I would definitely give it probably like a B-. Like I really enjoyed it. The characters were pretty much cannon fodder, which is what I expected anyways. The horror and the story of it was pretty good. The monster was cool. some stupid decisions and maybe like cut the runtime down by like 30 minutes would have been awesome.
I think the
been better.
pacing started to lose its
2 hours.
momentum.
2 hours for like a horror movie is a little long, especially when most horror movies only run like an hour 30, and you can usually get what you need out in that time. But other than that, I'd say it's a good vampire movie.
Yeah, I thought it was very, very creepy. Besides all the stuff I had problems with, I enjoyed it.
Still pretty solid.
But okay, that was our review with the last Voyage of the Demeter. See you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Hey, see, that's all I would have done. Dracula, boom, done.
Just
would have been that
chopped
easy.
your head off.
And this ear would have ate your bullet, and you went.
He would have.